News. July 11th is the World Population Day. July 11th is the World Population Day. Last month United Nations released a World Population Prospects and Forecasts report in which it said that India is most probably going to become the most populous country in the world by 2027. By 2027, India is going to become the most populous country in the world. Increasing of population or the highest number of population, is it good or bad? In the olden days, when we are children, we have an essay, regular essay, population explosion. But now, population is no more a problem if you can use them and channelize them. It is not the heads that count, but thinking and working heads that count. So, if you make all the heads and hands in India to think and work, definitely population will be a resource for India. As you all know, India is good for human resource. And today is the World Population Day. Today, World Population Day. And we all know China is the most populous country. To arrest the growing population, China started one child policy. One child policy. And in India also we have highest female productivity. Now the thing is, first thing, how to bring down the growing population. You all know India wanted to discourage excessive population. So for that reason, some states have introduced two-child norm in panchayat elections. So those people who wanted to contest for panchayat raj and local bodies, they should not have more than 2 children, first thing. And second thing, incentivizing family planning, like giving some SOPs for the women who underwent sterilization operations. Even this is very, very important. And third thing is, if you see population explosion, we can see north-south divide in India. North India, in the states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, in all these states, we have seen excessive population growth. In South Indian states, at least South Indian states are successful in containing the population. And one more important thing, for good reasons and bad reasons, Finance Commission, while recommending its devolution of funds to the states, also consider the population of a state as a criteria. Population of the state as a criteria. So the states which have followed family planning measures strictly are the states which get negative effect out of this. So for example, a state have followed proper family planning incentives and made its population to follow family planning. What will happen? It won't get much funds from the Finance Commission's recommendations. Even this is the issue. Considering all these things, you have to understand there is 140% of growth of population in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. Whereas between 1971 and 2001 census, the population growth in Kerala is just 56%. If you see 40 years span, if you see this span, you can see 56% of growth in Kerala, whereas 140% growth in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. All these things you have to understand. And coming to India, if we penalize the people for having more and more population if they don't work, at least TFR. In India, the TFR rates vary from rich to poor. Even this is very important thing which you have to understand. Generally, kindly make an article on demographic dividend and young population, and India is going to become the most populous country in the world. How India has to tap this resource? How India have to tap this resource? Give some ideas. India ఇలాంటి వనరులు ఎలా వాడుకోవాలి దీని ఐడియాస్ చెప్పు. So next article, as you all know, Supreme Court is going to decide whether Rohingyas are refugees or illegal migrants. Whether the central government can stamp certain people as refugees and certain as illegal migrants according to its whims and fancies. But definitely nobody leaves their home and goes to the other house or other land unless the house becomes mouth of a shark. Nobody leaves their home and goes to the other house or other land, a foreign land, unless their own house becomes mouth of a shark. No father makes his son to sail on water. No father makes his son to sail on water unless he feels that water is safer than land. Okay. If you observe, there are people who are immigrants who migrate from one country to other country. For example, India to Canada. They go by choice. And they want to have better lifestyle and opportunities. But some people are forced to go from one country to other country, not by choice, but they are forced, not for any other reason, but to see a sunlight tomorrow. Because they want only one thing. They want their life to be led. They want to see tomorrow. That's the only reason. So that's a major difference between a wishful migrant and a refugee. Refugees come to other land by force because they can't do anything. They want to see the sunlight tomorrow. So if you understand on the humanitarian ground, we have to really allow the refugees at least to survive in India. At the same time, if you see practical sense, India is already overburdened. Our northeast and Jammu Kashmir already have some problems. If you allow refugees to enter and settle down, definitely they will not only bring their ray of hope but also many things into the country, including job crisis, anti-social things. There are various things with refugees, attached with refugees. And next beautiful article today, which is very important for you for exam, turning down the heat. Turning down the heat. Turning down the heat, star mark article today, very important. There is enormous potential in mitigating climate change through forest restoration. There is enormous potential in mitigating climate change through forest restoration. This article you have to understand from basics. In the year 2015, COP21 summit was held at Paris. 2015వ సంవత్సరంలో COP21 సదస్సు ప్యారిస్లో జరిగింది. UNFCCC అని యుఎన్కి ఒక ఆర్గాన్ ఉంది. యునైటెడ్ నేషన్స్ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్ కన్వెన్షన్ ఆన్ క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్. ఇట్ డీల్స్ విత్ క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ అంటే వాతావరణంలో వచ్చే మార్పులకు సంబంధించి ఒక మెకానిజం ఉంది. దాని పేరే UNFCCC, యునైటెడ్ నేషన్స్ ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్ కన్వెన్షన్ ఆన్ క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్. దిస్ కన్వెన్షన్ ఈజ్ నాట్ ఆటోమేటిక్లీ బైండింగ్. ఈ కన్వెన్షన్ ఆటోమేటిక్గా బైండింగ్ కాదు, ఇట్స్ వాలంటరీ. బట్ ద ప్రోటోకాల్స్ మేడ్ అండర్ ద కన్వెన్షన్ ఆన్ బైండింగ్. The protocols made under the convention are binding. Then Nehru and the Kashmir quandary. Nehru and the Kashmir issue. Here you need not read the political issues in the article. For our civil services interest, I can tell you one small paragraph. Listen. Nehru was an idealist in foreign policy. Not only foreign policy, Nehru was an idealist. Idealist in the sense, he was a peace-loving man and he was a man who was little liberal. And when Raja Hari Singh asked the help from Nehru, when Pakistani sponsored guerrilla forces are attacking the Kashmir, Nehru readily accepted and also signed instrument of accession to make Kashmir a part of India, but on the conditions told by Hari Singh. That is the genesis of Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. So special status to Jammu Kashmir and instrument of accession is a genesis. Based on that, there are 2-3 things I can tell you. First is, Amit Shah recently told that Nehru was the reason why today we have foregone 1/3 of Kashmir to Pakistan. So many critics say that. We cannot completely throw away the statement. But Nehru have not done it so as to pacify someone, but he was a man of idealism. But if you consider the realist people like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, they would not have done that. Even China issue. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel would have differently dealt with China. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel would have differently dealt with Kashmir. That is true. That is true. But we cannot say Nehru have done it with some selfish interest. That is wrong. As he was a Kashmiri Pandit, he wanted to support Hindus. This type of argument nobody can support. Okay. And deepening Me Too movement, you know Me Too movement, right? Me Too movement, kindly follow this. Let's stop for today.